Thank you. How are we looking, Greg?
Good to go.
Good? All right. Okay, our first order of business is an oath of office for our new student board member, Ella Hall. Is the oath taking place yet? Or she been sworn in yet? No. Do that right now, all right?
Looks like I'm gonna do that right now. Do I gotta come all the way up there and do
Yes,
it?
you do.
Oh, I
Yes,
love
it's
that.
all official business.
We'll go together. Hey, where do you want me to stand?
Perfect.
All right. Ella Hall, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will
support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York.
and this Constitution of the State of New York,
And that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of board member of the Board of Education,
of board member of the Board of Education,
which I am now assigned.
which I am now assigned.
Perfect.
Wonderful. That was a great dress rehearsal. This time we're gonna do it with our right hand up.
And no shoes.
Bob gets the filming official one. Right
Ready to
hand
start?
up.
Yeah, I can really
Take your hand up.
It's my first time.
It's okay. Dress rehearsal.
All right, you ready again?
Yeah.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
and that I will faithfully discharge,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of board member of the Board of Education,
of board member of the Board of Education,
which I am now assigned.
which I am now assigned.
Now it's official. Raise your hand. Thank you all. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. This is first time for us that I can recall anyway, my history that we have a student board member, so really excited to have you join us. Thank you very much. Proud moment. All right, so let's recognize some successes, our favorite part of the meeting, and we'll turn it over to you guys.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Roche and Board of Education. At this time, I would like to provide a certificate of excellence and invite up to the podium Madeline Lapel. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. We are recognizing Madeline today because she took it upon herself to go above and beyond and help clean up our gymnasium after one of our special events.
Holy cow, that's awesome.
So if you wouldn't mind coming around the table, shake some hands. Come right in front there. There you go. There you go.
Thank you so much.
Nice job, this is yours. Take that.
Thank you so much. Great job. Want to take a picture? Somebody want to take a picture?
Casey, you got your phone? Why don't you take a picture?
I can take a picture, but I don't have my phone.
Tom,
Hold that up right to your belly. There you go.
Come on up, Mr. Roach. Get right in the middle.
And the light's not yet your favorite.
There you go. Congratulations, nice job. recognize today our school nurse, Mrs. Catherine Briscoe, who I do not believe is here in the crowd, but we are recognizing her for organizing the Rescue Squad Incorporated to visit our after-school enrichment program. So thank you, Mrs. Briscoe. And we also want to recognize the members of the Fort Edward EMS Rescue Squad who brought the vehicle to us. And that is Mr. Ken Mitchell. And an alumni. Thank you. Mackenzie Willard. And Mr. Keith Anna. Thank you to those people for bringing that wonderful piece of equipment to our children and educating them on it. I'd also like to recognize our student board member. Don't have a certificate for you, but just want to thank her for her willingness to be a part of this, create some change, be the voice for her student body. And in the interview, I spoke to her today a little bit about how she'll be using her own social media platform to gather information from the student body, as well as her own friendship groups and circles to hopefully create change and represent them to you and provide us feedback for all of the new initiatives that we will be doing as well. So congratulations and thank you.
Casey, any community comments?
Not at this time.
No. Okay, we'll leave that stuff. Next up is a presentation on an update for our 5-year long-range plan by Sarah Bradshaw.
Sarah is going to Zoom in, and I don't know if she's in that call.
Are we able to hook in with them yet?
She is not in yet.
Is Greg in?
Greg is not in yet.
Okay.
Yes, we're supposed to be ready. Turning to page 2. All right, board committee reports this evening. We had a fantastic presentation by Chris on our budget update. This is the second meeting of the budget calendar for this year's budget. Pretty detailed work. We've got a lot of work ahead of us still, finalizing everything and getting different reports for state aid, but our budget is the largest we've seen in a while, as expected. Every year things go up and costs go up, so we'll keep working on that all the way up until the vote in May, so more to come. There was also another meeting of the athletic committee that met on January 23rd. Anyone want to report on just a little quick summary on that meeting?
Well, we had discussed some of the potential mergers that are like kind of down the road, and kind of the logistics and kind of looking into some more information for some of those. We also talked about reinstating or reestablishing the coaches' evaluations post-season, and I know mine is personally scheduled for next week. And what else? Kiesi was there and did a wonderful job of taking some notes, I know that. I did not write much down.
And I believe John is chairing that, so.
Yes,
Yes. Right.
that's probably along the lines, we went through all the different school mergers and what seems to have been working and what seems that might need to be looked at again, potentially for different schools. But we know that we definitely have a couple of really good ones that we want to keep around for a while.
That's great. Sounds like Dr. Lee.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Any of these that we need to have a scheduled meeting for?
Yeah, I need to set up a policy review for the committee meeting. I was going to send out an email and then. So I was looking at potentially the week of the 27th for us to, it would give us a couple of weeks still to review our information and then come back together to meet. That week we have on Wednesday, the 1st, there is the 5:30 Government Board budget workshop, I believe.
Okay.
So a couple of thoughts I have is we could look to potentially even do it that same night. The budget workshops are taking,
About an hour, right?
oh, they are an hour, okay.
So that
So,
took an hour.
so that might be for a long night, because our policy stuff would probably take another hour. So if we wanted to try to do one night, we could try to do it all in that one night, or look at another night that week.
Policy's about an hour, right?
I would say, let's stick to an hour, and then if we needed to set something else up after that, then.
So I'm good with doubling down on the first, is everybody, okay?
March 1st?
Yeah, March 1st.
Yeah.
5:30 would be the budget workshop, and then whenever that wraps up, we can plan to move right into, policy. Okay. And then, yeah, that's all of us, we're good, yeah.
All right, good. So, Karen, on the paper, March 1st, following the budget workshop, I'll like that policy. All right, well, any other news? Meetings, couple of projects.
Not that I'm thinking of, that's
All right. Superintendent report. Fantastic, sir.
So before I get into the presentation of the state of the schools, just a couple of real quick announcements. Since our last board meeting, the governor's state aid run did come out. Looks like we were about 5 or 6% better than we were last year. From what I understand, Chris can verify, but from what I understand, usually the governor's budget is usually the lowest. So it shouldn't be any lower than 5 or 6%, and as they legislate, lobby for different things, it could be a little bit better for us, so we don't know. The winter season did wrap up. Our bowlers went to sectionals today at Boulevard Bowl, and we placed 9th out of 24 schools. So that's fantastic. Since the last meeting, I did attend my first Adirondack League meeting, which was fantastic, and I have another one coming up Thursday. Great league to be a part of, and I'm glad we're there. The legislative breakfast, Tom and I attended, it was virtual. It was pretty good. Myself, Aaron, and the nurse went to Hartford, where we learned how to administer Narcan. So now we have Narcan on site, and we have 3 people that can administer that. The IDA, I'm not sure if all of you have been keeping up with the IDA, but how I can describe it in 3 or 4 sentences is, there is a feeling that the IDA is going out and soliciting companies to come in and put solar farms, wind farms here in Washington County, and circumventing some of the planning boards and things like that, which is now equating into -dollars for schools and towns. So we are reevaluating that. I went to a virtual meeting facilitated by Mr. Ward and all of the other Washington County superintendents, and I am in conversation with Aaron Morris of Goodwin and Filazzo, because Patrick Fitzgerald of Goodwin and Filazzo was there, and we have to make sure that we're 3 things. But Mr. Ward said that while he was here, he had established that for us, but I want to verify. It's resolutions with NYSERDA and the New York State Office of Finance, and that we are on the opt-out list for 487. But again, I'll update you on those as I'm going through that. That's something I'm working on this week and in the future. But I wanted to make sure you're aware of IDA issues here in our county. Discussions with Hudson Falls about our football merger. We had our first meeting. It was very productive. They are ready and willing to accept us as a school to merge with football. As you know, Corinth did not want to continue with that merger, but Hudson Falls does, so we will have to decide that by the next meeting. So we probably should have an athletic committee meeting between now and the next one. Because we have to file our paperwork by April 1. So we should probably have it approved at the March 13th meeting, if that's the way we're going to go. We just did the Adult Student Bowling Challenge up at Broadway. That was fantastic. What a great event that is. We interviewed spring coaches, and you can see we have that as a resolution for today. Rachel will be here today to meet with us after the meeting in executive session to talk about the conversations. We've had 9 conversations with FES and leadership. And we've had 4 conversations with the FEAA administrators. So we have lots to talk about after this meeting with Rachel. The boilers, we thought we were going to be back up to 4, but we are not. The parts that came in were incorrect. So we are trying to work that. But Alpine was in, thank you for approving that at the last meeting, and they are looking at the waste and things like that, of how to get rid of the other boilers once we do that. So it is moving forward. Yes, yes.
That's nice.
We did win a grant. I think I provided you information for that. Mr. Herman, Mrs. Smacko, who's out in the crowd, Mrs. Stark, and Mrs. Scotch. Does that sound right? Yes. Submitted a grant application to the AFT Innovation Fund. Communities in need, and we were one of 12 schools in the nation to be awarded that award. $45,000. They plan to use the money to purchase a CNC milling machine to be placed in the technology room to increase CTE offerings to our students as well as potential enrichment opportunities. And the committee secured a partnership with the Fort Miller Group, which they will work with our students and provide them with real world connections to the manufacturing field. So, fantastic to those people. And our art students, we have some great artists at Fort Edward. Let's see, we have 4 winners this year for the 2023 Talented Unlimited Accepted Artwork. I'm not going to read their names because I would like to recognize them at the next board meeting. I wanted you to know that we would do that. And future items, Unified Sports, that's going to begin Monday after break. Open gyms for softball and baseball start this week. FEA meetings will continue this week as well with our administrators. To all you folks listening out there, our break does begin this coming Monday, so we will not be in school for 1 full week, but classes will resume on the 27th. Tomorrow, we have a Valentine's Day breakfast with pre-K students and one of their special friends. So that's exciting. I'll be meeting with Patrick Keneally, our cafeteria leader, to discuss new furniture and possibly bringing a lounge area to the balcony for the cafeteria for our students. We continue to plan for the March 10th conference day, but I want to make everyone aware that we do have 2 conference days to schedule that we can utilize. So we will probably, I'll be meeting with the administration to get those done. Snow days. So we have 1 snow day left. If we do have to use an additional snow day, so we use one, then we have to use another one. We will be going and doing a virtual day. I am going to work with our public information officer, because at the last superintendent's meeting, they informed me that we may not have to have a full day to meet our hours and minutes. So that's what I'm hoping. And Mr. Wagner and his group here are working with them this week to ensure that if we have to, we get a week where we know we're going to get snow, and we're ready to deploy those out so that we can have a virtual day in the event we have to have a second snow day from here out. Am I making sense?
So will kids take home with the computer
Yes.
if there's expected stuff?
That's what I'm planning.
Okay.
Yep. The Adirondack League meeting again is this Thursday. Our Building Safety Committee meeting is thriving. Lots of people involved. We're moving more and more, and we're hopefully going to be doing some tabletop discussions or scenarios in the next coming months. So that's what I'm hoping for. Adirondack Area School Board meeting, that's, everybody.
Is it like elementary representation?
Yes,
or
New
secondary?
Meadows,
Oh, okay.
Nurse, B&G, and we actually, I want to thank Malcolm from Needham. He's been coming, along with another representative, so we're actually have to move up to the boardroom for our next few meetings, because I can't fit everybody else. So, and we're going to be reaching out to the sheriff's office soon, because, as you know, our FPD is disbanding in the next month. So
Do you chair that committee, Rich?
What's that?
Do you chair that committee?
Yes.
Bosse's involved, Mark Sullivan, any of those guys?
No, they have not been. No. But, is that something that's been going on in the past?
We did, I don't know.
You could look into
Normally
it,
was done.
there is, I don't know what their actual title is, but like a
Safety specialist, yeah,
Involved
Mark was
into
here.
the district.
Okay.
He's been
Could be
important.
part of those meetings, so you could ask, because there maybe should be somebody assigned to the district that could and should be part of it.
All right, we'll do, will you note that, Casey? Thank you. All right. Adirondack Area School Boards Association meeting this Thursday. You're in? Both of you are in, okay. That's at the Queensberry Hotel. All right. And I'll be attending a lead evaluator principal training on the 28th when we return from break. March 9th is our CSO lobby day. All of our chiefs will be lobbying down at Albany. That'll be interesting. That'll be my first one, so it's exciting for me. March 10th and 11th, right here on this stage, the Adams Family School Edition play. Will be here in the auditorium. Friday night is 7 p.m. and the matinee's at 1 o'clock, and that's March 10th and 11th. That's the weekend before our board meetings. I wanted to make sure I told you that soon. I'm also working on summer school being run through BOCES this year. As you know, we have been a targeted school of improvement, which comes with grant money. We are not going to be a targeted school for improvement in the upcoming year, only because I believe that you're going to see from the state, I think they're just resetting the clocks. So, but not being that does relieve us from that grant money. So running through BOCES, we'll be able to utilize our aid coast. So, but only for the first $37. But I'll give you those things as we get closer, because I'm still working all that out.
So just to clarify, we would be using our people, but we're going to be running the funding for it through the BOCES coaster.
Correct, I made a clarification, I can only serve it, we can only have to service our Fort Edward students, and we utilize our only Fort Edward staff. So, it's basically ours, but we just run it through
You're
them.
funneling the money in a different way.
You got it, you got it. You got it. And I want to thank Glens Falls, specifically Mr. Ken Chester, for allowing us to utilize their van in the absence of our current van due to mechanical issues. So thank you.
A previous
Dr. O'Malley?
connection.
Yes, yes,
Dr. O'Malley,
yes.
before you get started on that, it does sound like somebody jumped into the call. I'm not certain if that's Sarah Bradshaw, and if you want to start with her before you get started on your presentation.
Okay, well,
I just wanted to let you know.
all right, is she there?
Someone is,
We'll see.
just with a phone number.
Sarah, are you with us?
or saying I'm asking, but I am here on the phone.
Sarah, I don't know how much you can do through the phone, but you're up with information on the 5-year plan.
Sure, can you guys hear me okay? I can't hear you guys great.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Let me see. Does this help at all?
Okay, do you have the report pulled up or a paper? I can try to go through it that way.
Okay. Yes, that works, Sarah.
Okay. First, well, nice to meet everyone. This is a little bit different, but hopefully get some of the information and if you have questions, or tear down, let me know and we can circle back.
Oh, can you hear me okay? Maybe somebody else, one of the speakers can answer it. On the capital outlay project page, the first line and box there says vote, and that's looking like May of 2023. What are we voting on in May of 2023? Oh, that's, okay. Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm with you now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't know if you guys feel the way I do, but this is kind of not a great way of doing this. I'd rather have it up on the screen, it's clear communication, so maybe we'll move this to next month, does that work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Sarah, it's Tom Roach, how are you? Oh, the mic. Hi, Sarah, can you hear me? It's Tom Roach. I think we're gonna postpone this, if you don't mind, to next month. I think the communication and not being able to see it in much larger font, my old eyes are having a hard time following along, so maybe we can reschedule for either an in-person or we'll have the technology worked out next month. Does that work for you? March 13th, yes. No, with this world of technology, sometimes we have these hiccups, so we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Take care. All right, so we'll take it. You want to look at that?
I've already gone, I'm going through it with her, right? She can't see
So-
it, so I'll put it there.
I kind of, look, since we're switching a little bit of gears here, I did kind of promise Chris Leachin to be first on the discussion, so can we move that one forward and then we can move
Okay, so we're gonna skip a couple of reports and we're gonna go to discussion items. Discussion item A. Hi Chris, welcome
Hi
back.
Tom, how are you? Hi everybody, good to see you guys, hi. I can move over so you get me.
I believe Chris is going to explain to us a little bit more about a decision we need to make tonight. In order to move forward, and we did give permission to move forward with getting ready for the planning board and the separation, the subdivision, all that good stuff. There's a lot of different dominoes have to fall, and one decision we need to make prior to deciding which way we go with Chris and all this legal stuff is, are we intending to gift the building, or are we going to try to sell the building? And there's a lot of different things that have to happen depending on which way we decide. So Chris, if I can say that the right way, please, the legal.
You absolutely did. Yeah, so you've got all the options in the world. You guys, the board, own this property outright. We found the deed to it. It is a separate deed. It's 2.5 acres, I believe, and I understand you don't want to sell all of it, so we need to have that surveyed. The good news is you should not have to go through subdivision and planning board and all that. You're a school district, you're governed by the state education department, who should be able to help us. I've also reached out and discussed this with the town attorney, who's willing to cooperate and help us. Normally, how this works is we do boundary line adjustments. We don't go through a whole subdivision approval like you would if you had a parcel and were trying to develop it, for example. So hopefully that piece will be much easier. As I said, you've got your two choices. You can gift it to a local municipality, which of course the town is, or you can sell it. And if you choose to gift it, I'm sure that the town would be very cooperative and we would be able to get this done quickly. The only difference is with that, you have to get voter approval because you're not getting consideration for it. You would be gifting it. So we would have to put this up for a vote in May, and then it can be transferred 30 days after the vote. If you choose to try to put it on the market and sell it, there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's, you need to determine a value. Obviously, I did find an appraiser. Finding an appraiser for old school buildings is not easy because there's just not a lot of them. And you know, appraisers work by doing comparables, and there's not a lot of comparables of, you know, things that have been used as school buildings. But he's familiar with it, so there's somebody, I have somebody online if you choose to go that route. And what we'd have to do is come up with a value, and then you can market it any way you want. You can do it through a realtor, you can just put it online, you can sell it to somebody you know, as long as you get good value for it. And value can be determined in a lot of ways. For example, if you're selling it to a for-profit business where it's going to go back on the market or back on your tax rolls, obviously that's very beneficial to you. So you may be able to take less money in exchange for that. If you're selling it to a, say, non-for-profit that is not going to generate any taxes, then it would probably be more likely you'd have to get it at a higher price. But that's, as Tom said, the first decision is whether you want to sell or gift, and then once you decide that, then we can go down that road and I can give you the details for each of those.
Chris, are you dealing with the town or the village?
Oh, the village,
Yeah,
I'm
the
sorry,
village.
the village, I keep calling it the
Yeah,
town,
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
village, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
So I think we need a consensus from the board. I don't think we necessarily need a vote. We will likely have to vote, put it on the agenda, the votes in May, to put it out to the public. Right now, we need to know the consensus of the board, which direction we want to go, so we can get.
One more clarification, Tom, just, if you go to sell, you don't need voter approval. Only if you gift, you need voter approval. Just want to clarify that, okay? And I'll give you and putting the proposition on the ballot, if you're going to gift, is very easy. I can give you that, you pass it.
So it doesn't have to go for the sell. Gotcha. Okay.
Nope,
So
not if you sell.
So that's what we're looking at, folks. So we need a consensus and direction from the board on what we're thinking about. So I'll start off. I've been a fan of gifting it to the village since we started the conversations with the mayor. I think it's good to get those historical documents and those other things they want to use up to that building above the floodplain. There's a lot of history in this place, as we all know. I think it also might benefit as a multi-function building for different things to happen once we know that it's owned by our village. So I just see all the benefits. I understand revenue is much needed, tax revenue, sale revenue, selling the building. I think we have to be very particular in who we sold that building to because of the closest to our school. I think there was maybe 10 years ago they were thinking about making that into like a drug rehab or something like that, if I recall. There was a lot of public outcry about that. So I think that process would be a lengthy one, and I don't know, other than possible revenue, the benefits. So I, for one, would like to see us give it to the village, but someone else, please.
I agree, I'm in favor of both things. I agree, I'm in favor of the gifting of the building, and I think that's been what has been discussed for years. This has been in discussion and in the works for quite some time. The question that I do have though is obviously if that was the decision the board made and it went for voter approval, and the voters voted it down, then we move to selling. Is that?
You can do that, sure.
The chain of
We could
events that
consider
we-
that, or just keep it.
Oh, right.
I guess we could just do nothing.
Or just keep it, or just, okay.
Just for my 2 cents, I'm in agreement with both. I think there's also, it's gifted to the village, but I believe there's a tacit agreement with the town and the historical association, who are also going to use that for storage space, which they really, really need. So I think we need to think about what's good for the community, because they've got things that need to go somewhere. Now there's no place for them to go. And it's a good use for across the board for the entire community.
Anybody else? Thoughts?
I don't think that we could sell it without including parking with it. Like, nobody's gonna buy it with no parking, and we want that parking for our uses.
Want the county parking?
Yeah, one more thing too, if it does go to the village, and they're working in conjunction with the town and the historical association, grant availability is much more common when you have multi-use going into those things. So they'd be able to come up with money much easier and quicker than we could prepare to do anything to it. So I think it's the way to go.
So I just had a question, with gifting it to the village, what is there, is it just, they wanna use it for just storage strictly, like it wouldn't be something that they would open up to the public that would also need parking, which is, you're just speaking to, so that.
We probably should have a conversation that I would imagine, but I think in our previous conversations, they said if we had 2 parking spots just for the folks that would, like Paul, who would be going through the records and things like that, they had availability for that, they'd be satisfied with that. I don't know that it would become a place of gathering unless you did a whole lot of work on that building. I think right now its function would be strictly, storing records and things like, maybe eventually it turn into a meeting space or something like that, but I think the immediate use would be limited to storage.
Just storage.
I believe that's their long-term plan too, because there's an overwhelming amount of information they have that needs to be stored if you've been in that room, if you've been in that building. It's not a huge building, but storage space, perfect. I don't know if they can branch out.
Not much more stuff, yeah.
What is the, like, how, is it in good condition, or what is the condition of the building?
I would say,
It's functional, but, we used it for storage for drama, we did painting in there. Basement's a mess, the restrooms that are there probably need some work, but, coat of paint, some sweeping, probably could become a functional storage place pretty easily.
it's best decision, maybe.
Anybody want to speak?
The village knows the condition of it.
Yeah, no, they've been asking, we did a tour not too long ago too, yeah, so they know what it looks like.
After for a few years.
What's everybody else's thoughts?
Anybody want to speak about selling?
James, myself, what are your thoughts? I'd like to hear, I would like to hear your thoughts.
What's your thoughts on it? Good. Does anyone want to talk about possibly the benefits of selling this and think about?
Well, obviously, like Kristen said, possibility of revenue coming back to the district, but like the pragmatic, all the other things that go on, that parking and easement or use of the driveway, and who would it be going to, and could we say yes or no to certain places? Like, we don't want to say no if we don't like it, and then everybody's gonna be like, well, why didn't you say, I don't know, it just seems like it seems like a tough spot to be in either way.
Either way, this building that we're talking about, it's not just gonna be a building, they're going to have access, if we give them this parcel of land, they have to have access out to the road. Either way, there's gonna be an easement. It really is not, if we wanna just give it to the village at this point, it is what it is. I just hate seeing us at where we are, needing money constantly all the time, and we almost merged with another school district. Even the thought of saying the word gifting, it's feel like it's a slap.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, that might be the sentiment.
Putting up for both of folks.
Right.
Yeah,
Might
that
say,
might be the
so
public
that's
sentiment, we might find out the public's thinking more about that. I think going by the discussion, we're gonna give Chris direction to go forward with gifting, and then we'll make a motion to put it on the referendum for the budget.
And that referendum would state specifically gifting to the village of Fort
We will have but before that goes onto onto the ballot, we'll have an agreement with the village and all of that, it'll be all in line. By the way, the other thing is when you do gift property, there will be a clause that's required that says if you ever stop using it for their public purpose, it comes back to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you're gifting it as a public entity like you are, there's a reverter clause that will come back to you. So, and that's to protect so that you don't give to the village and then they go sell it, you know what I mean? Not that they would do that, but it had happened.
It feels good to have that in there.
Yeah, and it had happened to some schools back some time ago, so they put this in that said they have to have this, if somebody's gonna sell it, it might as well be you.
Yeah, no,
The
exactly.
other piece that we had talked about at one point, and there may have been clarification, but I can't remember, that little red building is part of what would get gifted, or is that not part?
It's a good question. The only
Because
discussion,
that is run down quite bad.
the only discussion I recall having is they don't use that at all, right?
I don't know, I recall our former buildings and grounds guy saying that there is some storage, there's some equipment in there. I think,
Like a shed.
yeah.
There's also toiletries, toilet paper, prom stuff,
Bags there for storage.
just storage.
Or was
Question,
that part of what's getting,
That's up to us.
I was gonna say, what happens to the items that are in there now currently?
I'm sure we'd have to clean them out, find new spots. I don't think there's anything in there that needs a home elsewhere. But there may be some tables. and stuff. So, Chris, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, do we have to include that red barn into this?
You don't have to include anything, Tom, that's the good news. As you said, it's up to you to decide what you want to. You know, I was just looking at the map, actually, as you told me that, I don't know how you would separate it out, you know, it might make a little awkward piece, but I think you can do it.
Just keep it on the football
do
field
we know
side,
if
that's
it's
all.
something that the village was wanting?
My discussion with them, it wasn't integral in the whole process.
Yeah.
It was or was not?
It wasn't. It would cost us some money to fix it, to make it a viable storage place. I think the roof is coming in and the walls are not looking too great in there.
Maybe you do wanna give it to them then, no?
I know,
Yeah.
that's right.
It's very small, it looks pretty small, right?
It's not very big at all.
I thought it was like a shed or something, you can't really tell on
It's
here.
essentially a shed. So do you guys want to keep that for the school so we can use it for storage, or you want us to include it in the deal?
Mike?
Should we have somebody check it first before we make a decision without looking at it?
When we did the tour over the summer,
We went through the,
our former staff thought it was about ready to be torn down. So,
yeah, I want somebody to make
I
a
don't
decision.
care if we keep it. We'll probably bulldoze it in 10 years if we keep it.
We haven't used it in years, if that'll be a kind of a friend preference.
Yeah, why don't we just part the policy?
It's so close to the
it. So, if your
It might
guys
be
are
more of a
okay.
liability for you than an asset, you know?
So let's just, whatever outline you had there for separating from school property, include the red Barney show, whatever it's. the shed
Okay.
is, and
It's a bonus.
go from there.
It's a bonus.
Yeah, whatever it is. Okay, we'll go with that, and then once we get all that stuff done, we'll vote, again, vote to put it on the ballot, and then the public will decide on how we proceed. Cool.
Okay, I will contact the village attorney tomorrow and start the process going, okay?
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, yeah. Okay, next up, we're going to continue with our discussion items. And we're going to invite Shannon up to the stage for Healthy Kids before and after school program.
Come on up, might as well come on up, this one, get you closer to the.
We broke a little, like what we had here when we met with you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, everybody has all the handouts.
Oh, perfect, we brought two just in case. So over this way? I'll try to give you guys.
Yeah, that sounds, that's.
I'm Shannon, I'm one of the senior regionals for Healthy Kids, and this is Lindsay, she's one as well. So I just have a little bit about us. Healthy Kids Before and After School Programs is one of the largest, most experienced and highest quality providers of extended daycare childcare. We were established in 2007. As a company, we have over 70 before and after school programs in public elementary schools all over New York State. We offer before and or after school, summer pre-K wraparound programs, EPK partnerships, standalone daycare centers, and we will even we lease daycare centers as well, and we have one on the SUNY campus. We're located statewide, and actually this year we crossed state borders, so we have programs in New Jersey, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania as well. A little overview, all of our before and after school programs are licensed by OCFS, which is the Office of Children and Family Services. We are an action-packed program filled with a variety of activities infused with voice and choice for the kids. Our activities include homework completion, board games, arts and crafts, math and science, quiet reading area, dramatic play area, physical education to keep the kids moving, active and having fun. Our staff, who are employed by Healthy Kids, they go through 3 different background checks and oversight from New York State Office of Children and Family Services. So the programs are regulated by them, they come in and they inspect us, everything like that. As a company, we have a team overseeing all the programs. Every minute of the program time is overseen by highly skilled staff and leadership team to make sure the program runs at the highest quality level. The leadership team includes a site director who works with the program, then a regional director who oversees the site directors as well as some other neighboring schools. From there, there's the senior regional level where myself and Lindsay are at, where we oversee the regional directors. And we have an executive director who oversees us as well as all 70 before and after school locations. On top of the program side of things, we have a support staff. Healthy Kids is a team of support professionals to take care of all the administrative duties, such as the program staff, or this way that the program staff can focus on running a great program. The team includes a 4-person HR department to make sure we attract and retain top talent, and then a 5-person program support department to handle the registration, marketing, and IT. It's a little overview about Healthy Kids.
So, Shannon and another staff member came and presented to myself and a small group of administrators, and I can't remember who else was there. But we thought it was an opportunity, and it doesn't cost the district anything to run. So I'll run through them, but there is a cost to families if they do participate. There is a minimum, they don't have a minimum number. So if we were to say, hey, let's make this offering, and 2 kids signed up, we would have Healthy Kids here, and they would have an after-school program. The costs and the tuition fees are included in what you have for the packet. We were not thinking about a before-school program. We were mostly thinking about an after-school program that would go till 6 p.m., but depending on the need, they can adjust the time. So if we didn't, I know they're in Amsterdam right now, and they are only there till 5 or 5:30, I think it is, I'm not sure.
We have a partnership with Fort Plain as well coming up for this September, and they have one at 5 o'clock as well.
So that would adjust the fees that you see here, which is currently for a 6 p.m. pickup, 5 days a week would be $280 a month, 4 days, $240, and you can read the rest, but I'm just reading them out loud for the people that are in the audience that can't see this. 3 days per week would be $200 a month, 2 days would be $120, and 1 day would be $80. And then there's a drop-in rate for if somebody had an emergency, they needed after-school care, you could just come in and utilize that at a daily rate. So I thought it might be something that we might want to offer our community. I know it is at a cost, but at this point, there is no after-school care. So I thought we would try that.
I did have something for the tuition. With our programs being licensed by the Office of Children and Family Services, we can actually accept subsidy. So DSS through the state, they raised it this past summer 300%. So a family or a household of 4 who qualifies, I think it's 83,000 is the threshold for the household of 4. They can apply for the subsidy, which will actually cover the cost from New York State for the tuition of it, either the whole tuition or a part of it where the parents have a parent share. So it's one of, with being licensed, that's one thing we can offer. And in our department for registration, we have a DSS specialist who strictly helps families do the paperwork, apply for it, kind of follow up, and handle all that kind of stuff.
Thank you, because I did forget that that was another reason why we thought we would bring it before you. Family of 4, and I believe that's to be strictly family of 4. And it can,
Household, household.
4 household, right? So it can be 1 child, a grandmother, an aunt, and maybe a mom or a father, and that would be 4. They qualify for DSS services, $84,000 or less.
Yep, and then
in the
there's
household.
3% of poverty line.
it went up, the tuition cost that they would cover, so that was 300%. I think it was at like 50,000 last year, and then August 1st it jumped up. And then I know depending on if it's a family of 2, 3, 4, I think all the way up to 6, they've got the different, it's right on our website too. and kind of have a section for it for all families to take a look at.
And what's nice is that they have someone that will call families and walk them through the process and help them with paperwork, so.
So they would just be utilizing the space, you're providing all the staff and equipment or whatever you need. How would that work for gym space, sports teams, complex with practices and things? That kind of like, just logistically.
My guess is, and Shannon can speak more to it, but, I believe they're mostly would be located in our cafeteria and utilizing classrooms, and they would work around that schedule.
Very flexible. I came from the program side of things, so if there was a sport or something going on in the gym, we would stay in the cafeteria, or, events going on in the cafeteria, we'd ask for, kids to license all of our rooms, come out and get them, checked out, but an art room, a classroom, something like that, library, or we would just move to the next space. We try to utilize outside too as well a lot, when we can.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the age group that you guys?
School age, kindergarten through a child's 13th birthday, so 12 years old, about.
Are you, I don't know if you can share this or not, are you in any local districts?
The closest ones, we have Berlin in Rensselaer County. We have programs in Johnstown in Fulton County, and then we have we're located in all four Amsterdam buildings over in Montgomery. And we have Fort Plain joining, which is in Montgomery County as well. And not sure how far Cooperstown is from here, but I know. Is it? Okay, I'm trying to think of location. I was picturing the signs on the road, but I know they're joining.
And Shannon and her colleague asked to present now because if they were able to, they would start marketing like ASAP for the upcoming school year. Because that would determine staffing, that would be, it would help with organization, but I can't remember. I think she was trying to get in early to do the marketing to get people to sign up, because what happens is regardless of how prepared or you are, mad rush comes in September.
Sure. Time is the first day of school, need to use the program that day.
Yeah.
But we need to, we also need to license the program, so we do, it takes up to 3 months potentially, a little bit more depending on it. But that's through the Office of Children Family Services. We open the facility ID, we kind of go through the steps with them, and it takes some time to.
One more question about the subsidy. Does that cover the whole tuition, do you know?
It depends on what the family qualifies for. I've seen it cover with the entire thing. We use it a lot in our daycares and everything, but I've also seen where some families have, for infants, they have a $4 parent share, or like a school age. So it's very, depends on what they can. We're actually marketing it to all of our families to just even try to apply for it. You never know what you can get.
And currently, one of the other parts was that we have some enrichment after school too. And I think you stated you were collaborating with that, again, being flexible with the space and doing that, right?
Yeah, good point. So if there was a child that was enrolled in this, but they had enrichment one day, they would go to enrichment until that ends, and then go to shift over to that program. Right.
Is everyone ready to kind of give a consensus on this? Or do you want to, take a minute, think about it, and visit it?
I'd like to just review the stuff a little closer. I think it sounds great initially, but I'd like to just review things.
All right, so we're gonna probably discuss this a little further. Usually don't just go right. Considerations, but it sounds good. It sounds like it's a great service to parents who need this service and something that they don't provide completely. And I love the fact that it's aided. And that it aided, so yeah, so we'll come up with a discussion on this and we'll have an answer for that as soon as we possibly can. And I know there's an urgency to do it, you guys want to get started, so we will not waste your time. We'll get the decision as quick as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, I thought this was a good opportunity, now that we're starting the second half of the year, and that Joyce and myself and Aaron, as well as Mr. Wagner, he hasn't been on as long as us, but we're all fairly new, so we figured we would give you some sort of baseline and some sort of progress as to what's been happening in Fort Edward since we've been here. So, just going to talk about enrollment, the academic performance, some small budget info. Joyce will then take it over with pupil services. Aaron is unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, so I'll talk a little bit with Joyce about the principal's report. And Mr. Wagner, who actually was on a vacation day today, came in and is going to present his portion. So thank you for doing that, Sandy. Appreciate it. Our enrollment trends. So fortunately at my last CSO meeting, and that's Chief School Officers meeting, they gave us this information, so I thought it'd be interesting to share. So in '93, there were 562 kids. Last year, there were 391, and that's a 30% change over 30 years. 5-year change, 481, last year 391, approximately 100, and we had a 1-year change of 2 students in, a 1% increase, and that is pulled at the end of each year, so not the beginning. So as you can see, we're holding steady at around 391, but we've obviously had some declining enrollment, and that is the trend. Our graduation trends. So now here's something good to know. So 2020, 74, 21, 72, 22 is 82. So last year you had a great year. That includes your August graduates as well. So the way they calculate your graduation rate is this. Any student that came to you September of 2019, that's their freshman year, okay? Now they are in the cohort. So that cohort is followed for 4 years. So back in 2019, September, there were 29 kids in the cohort. I spoke to our data officer because it's called level 1, level 0. Level 1 is what we report to the state, all of these levels. So this is how the state calculates our graduation rate. Sometimes they mess up. One we needed to change, we're in the wrong cohort. So now that moves us to 28. Since 2019, 5 students have dropped. Whether they dropped or they could have transferred and not re-enrolled, they're considered a drop. And then you have 3 currently that do not have enough credits to be a senior. So you take the 29, you minus 9, that's 20, and I believe there's 1 student right now who is at risk. They're considering at risk. So, is that correct, Joyce?
That's correct.
Okay, so we gave you the worst case scenario. So if we had to graduate students on this stage tomorrow, the graduation rate would be 69%. Yes. Yep, 1 kid can make a huge difference. So we're hoping that 1 kid will come through and will be aligned with around 70-ish%. That's the goal.
And 1 kid makes a big difference. The 3 that are currently in 11th grade, my hope is that they will graduate on a 5-year track.
Yep.
But we don't get credit for them in the year because it's not with their cohort. And so the state obviously needs to track things the way they need to track things, but I like that you've broken out the numbers because we're a small enough district where the numbers are students and we can say where each one is falling. There also will be some students who have special education needs and they will be on a 5 or a 6-year high school plan. They will not graduate after the 4 years of the cohort year because they need some more time to meet the standards. And those students will work hard, do everything they possibly can, obtain a local diploma. They will count against our graduation rate because they will not graduate within the 4 years. So, they still will count, but they count in on the back end. You get certain points for when students graduate and, things along those lines. Also, if you have a student who, is a special education student and goes to a BOCES program, for example, and goes, because they have decided that they're going to get their GED, there is a program there for, special education students. A GED does not count for the graduation.
That's correct.
It's a non-compete.
That's
It's a
correct.
non-competitive.
So what my goal here with this is to provide you this, hopefully, now and then towards the end of the third quarter. But I'm talking with Aaron, we'll be working with the school counselors, and we'll be creating a cohort tracking sheet. And that way we will know where each kid is in each year. So instead of now where we pulled it together for only the senior class, we'll be able to provide you updates of where 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade is in regards to graduation trends as they move forward in earning credits. Does that make sense?
And it's just too bad, because a student can have a tough year and repeat the grade and then really pull themselves together, and they do end up graduating and they get a Regents diploma and everything they need to do, and then count against our graduation rate.
But as you said, Amanda, maybe what I'll do is expand this into a 5 and a 6 year graduation rate, and then, you know, that could, because we do get points for that, as you said.
Correct, yeah, and
Yep.
what's most important is that we're addressing each of those students individually. So, you know, acknowledging that, yes, our graduation rate may be lower, but making sure that those few that are repeating a grade or whatever it is, we're doing everything we can for each of those individual students to get them to that diploma.
So last year, chronically absent, now, definition of chronic absenteeism. The state does not differentiate anymore between excused and unexcused absences. So for example, if Rich Jr. was a student here at Fort Edward, today is the 100th day of school. If he was absent 10 days, regardless of reason, or let's call it 11 days, he's absent more than 10% of the school year, he is labeled now as chronically absent. So the state does not differentiate anymore between excused or unexcused. It's just an absence is an absence is an absence. Okay? So last year, excuse me. Last year, 1 through 8, 47.6% were chronically absent, 9 through 12, 50%. As of right now, we have 32.5 and 34.9. And that's where we're at for this school year. And to be very frank with you, we have not put a lot of shovels in the dirt on attacking the absenteeism. We do have a pupil services weekly meeting that Aaron and Joyce are a part of. And they've been working with it one by one, but to have a full programmatic push toward increasing our attendance, we just have not had the ability to get into that yet. We're hoping to.
But we have done 3 levels of intervention, so we have a 7-day letter, a 14-day letter, a 21-day letter. We have, we're a required parent meeting, if you will, if the parent will come in. We've had counselors go to the house, we've had administrators go to the house to try to get the kids within. Part of our issue is really having teeth in helping them be responsible for having their kid attend school. They should be here, but there's not a lot of teeth to put into it to get them to comply.
And now the CPS requirements have changed for educational neglect.
CPS is left.
They will,
So much.
when they accept a
They're not
call,
doing anything.
they'll accept a call, and then just that 800 number, and then once you get somebody to respond, it said, well, what do you want?
Well, fortunately, I will say this. I have had conversations with Washington County. I have had some conversations with DSS, and they are willing to utilize everything possible in collaboration with the school. So those connections are being made. Hopefully we'll be able to do that, because I can tell you, I have gotten parent calls about the letters that Joyce has sent, and they are not fun calls, but they.
I have called.
So,
So do we distinguish between unexcused and excused absences?
we do, we label them as excused or unexcused, but again, when you deal with chronic absenteeism in that label, the state doesn't.
But our
District
seven
letter?
report,
Go ahead.
are the district letters based on 7 unexcused absences or state?
It's
They're,
7
they're based on state, well, they're based on just absences.
Because if I got a letter, I just said, if it was sick, you told me
Right.
that. People home when they're sick, so
Yeah.
you guys don't want it.
I get it, but I get it. And I know that Aaron's looking at revamping the letter for a little bit, but we just, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, all right. This is our Regents for performance from last year. ELA 63, you can read all through it. That's what they scored last year. Fortunately for this year, I can tell you that every one of the juniors who took the ELA Regents passed it.
Except one.
Oh, except one. So that's a plus.
And then it's for the year, which is nice.
And the rest is to be determined in June.
And they can retake it at the end of the year and then take the higher score, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Your overall average from Regents exams is 69%. Math 3 through 8 proficiency. So grades 3 through 8, this is what they're scoring. This is what we're scoring. This is the statewide average. And we led the lead right here as 6th graders. That was the highest scoring percentage in proficiency among the 31 BOCES. So, that was good. This is ELA. Again, our score, the statewide average, exceeding in some places, not in others. And our performance summary, average is 31 for math, 43, a little below the average in math, a little below the average in ELA. Staff contracts, we did, as you can see with our instructional costs, we have increased and added staff in the last year. 4 FES members, 3 FEDA members. Our individual contracts, we did add 2. And we've added 9 staff members since last year. I want to go back to this real quick. Out of the 52 FEDA members, we are only teaching 2 courses where we do not have certified staff. But the rest, everyone's certified in that area. And those are 1 sections of each. So it's not like a full course. So that's pretty good. I think.
It's really good.
Very good.
As Chris went through the overall budget, this is where we were for last year. I think that's the wrong year, sorry. And this is this year. Yep, so 4.89% is the difference. And considering all of the things that we have in our control, which are the contracts and things like that, I think we've done a pretty good job. And considering the things that we weren't in control, as Chris went over, double-digit increases in everything that's out of our control, I think we did okay. That was my opinion. And I think this is yours, Joyce, yes?
It's just me.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so special education enrollment right now, in September, we have 92 kids, right now we're at 84. 504 kids are pretty consistent, there's 12 in the beginning and 13 now. Total kids out of district, this is the massive change, there were 22 when I walked in the door, there's currently 15. I don't want you to think I just pulled all these kids back to the district and went to other programs. 2 came back to the school willingly because the program closed down. The other ones have been by attrition. They have moved, they have decreased their need, all driven by CSE, which has been a benefit for us. Homeschool kids, it's increased a little bit. We had 14 when I walked in the door, there's 19 now. That's our total enrollment, our classification rate, because as your enrollment drops, we stay. And so our number has not been that substantially different. We're a 2% change, which I will take. We're in the right direction. The state would love us to be between 12 and 14. It's a little hard sometimes. I mean, it is what it is. Kids move in, kids move out, just you work with them. I do have more good news kids coming in where I've already been approached by 3 sites saying they're ready to bring a kid back to our home district, which is exactly what I want to see. I want to make sure they're ready for the step down. And so we have potential for some more kids to come back home, which is really nice. This is our pupil service staff. We're going to be pretty consistent from this year to next year. We have not run annuals yet. The TAs and the aides, usually something that shifts, whether a child needs higher support of an assistant rather than an aide, because the academics are increasing. Special ed teachers, we're predicting another one if I can get enough enrollment to create a behavior class at the elementary level, the 3 to 5. We really need another step up, but I'm also looking at kids move often here, so can I, fiscally afford it? And also get enough people on the outside of the other districts to say they have a need to place kids in a homeschool. That will benefit us. So that's up in the air. We'll know more probably, I'd say late April, because our CSEs start in March. We'll be done by May 15th, and we'll have a real good solid ground on what we need. Kids are graduating, kids are shifting, pretty consistent. Okay, so this is the fun part. So all those numbers mean what it is in our monies. So public school, we are consistent, there's absolutely no change. Approved private, we're at 535, 104 in September. We're now down to 460, so we got a little over 66,000 in savings. BOCES has been our biggest hit. I had 14 kids there in September, I have 7 there now. It's almost a $400,000 savings. And we're gonna have a shift in that again this coming month because some kids no longer require use of a one-to-one system. So just things that are naturally happening to us, but right now we're standing in excellent condition for this year. And looking like it's gonna continue to go down for next.
Joyce, it's nice to know that when we thought about hiring a director of pupil personnel, this is what we were looking for. So by putting you on board, this is exactly the purpose and the job has been done, so thank you.
You're very welcome, seriously, happy to help. Okay, where are we? There we go.
Can I pause on board members?
Absolutely.
How many students do we currently have from other component districts that are tuitioning, or do we have any that are
We have
tuitioning?
one right now.
One right now.
And that student I've heard is going to be going back because he's going into 9th grade, and that district now has programs for 9th graders.
But if they're creating another classroom, then they're making the other.
Well, my idea is to really embellish our life skills class at the secondary level. I've already had 2 districts reach out and say, who's got secondary? And I wanna sell ours to bring in 2 more so that we can embellish that secondary level and get them going out more and really do more of the work-based help.
You consider it a school to work, is it a school to work?
It's between NISA and school to work, so it's like a modified version of that, but the kids are verbal, high functioning, for what their ability is. I'd like to see them get out for some jobs at the market down the road or Dollar General. They're good kids that could be able to do that, so we're gonna try to get some parents source it to them, or, just to build it, and give them some friends too. There's all network, get them some friends. This is our AIS, so as you know, we have an instructional support team for the first time in a very long time. I couldn't find the date of when that was. And to date, AIS for reading K-5 is about 34 kids that are receiving AIS support. And from 6th to 11th grade, there's 33. I talked to Joanna today. The kids are assigned to a period with a classroom teacher that is either English, math, science, or social studies. And so the secondary level is also getting that. AIS for math for the elementary, we've got 42 kids. Math is harder, we're going to build on it, it's a system. We've had COVID in the middle of that, some kids missed some steps, and so they're catching up. And then secondary, 29. The IST program I have in place is working well. We've had kids coming through already, and we're recommending support. The difference is we're tracking it, and we're making, it's called RTIM Direct. It's like an IEP version for kids getting AIS services. So if they move, if, 2 years later, well, this kid needs help in math, well, 2 years ago they were proficient, so what happened in 2 years? It gives us data and platforms to talk about, which is really very helpful. What is new? Okay, so this is our first year where we've done K through 11th grade iReady assessments for all the students, which has been wonderful. Some of the kids, as you know, are thrilled about it at the secondary level, but they're coming around and understanding why we're doing what we're doing. And we're targeting kids who just don't have the academic skills that they should be having. In June, I will become certified as a trainer in TCI. So I already have TCI, I've done it for years. I will now be able to train our staff, and the biggest thing I would love for them to learn is just how to de-escalate the child. They don't have to touch them, it's just how do you bring them down so that they are back on track. We really need mental health awareness training for our aides, our teaching assistants, and our nurses. We want to get 6 hours of that training in for our staff this year. A lot of our kids come with some interesting backgrounds, and we really need to have everyone know how to interact with them so that they don't escalate the situation. And this, I think, will help a lot. I already talked about instructional support team. Character Ed. February is Kindness Month. Thank you, Miss Makda. Her and Ms. Brewer got together and made February Kindness Month. So there are acts of kindness hearts that are going up for any child being kind. And then our kickoff, actually it's March 6th, my mistake, is our kickoff for our Character Ed event. We're going to have BB the Clown. We're going to learn our schools. We have a Character Ed song that was named for one of our music teachers. So we're going to teach it to all the kids. We have respect as the topic of the month, which is very much needed because we're having trouble with that in many arenas. And we're going to do a whole celebration on that day and get it going.
That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of fun. Okay, so we also have for the AIS support, we also provide building level speech, OT, and PT. Not every school can do this because their schedules are so tight, but we are fortunate where we have enough room where speech and language were already affecting 16 kids in September, 10 as of February, which means the kids graduated the service and they got out. OT, honestly, I had like 5 and 5. It wasn't a big deal. PT, there's 1 and 1 is graduating. So it's just a way to get the kids some treatment, help them out in school. It's not specialized, it's not 504, but it just gets them, rather than needing services in a year or two because they can't perform, this gives them that early intervention support, give them that little bump. Yeah, so it's wonderful. Okay, this is our process. I know it's probably a lot to manage, but we want to make sure that the staff are following the proper process. Oftentimes when we get a letter that said, oh, I'm referring this kid to special education. I'm like, okay, but what have you done in the building? Did you go to your instructional support team? Has the kid had response to intervention? What is allowed, what's not allowed? So kind of just teaching them the process and the steps so that by the time the kid actually comes to CSE, they've met the requirements and they're not frustrated when I say, well, you're going to go back and now you're going to go get AIS support for this child because you can't come to CSE without that response to intervention in a lot of cases. It's not in every case, but many cases. And so if they're not qualified for special ed, we're saying, fine, classified, but we're going to send you back to another team and they're going to keep helping you. If you get classified, these are our current programs. I'd love to see there very soon integrated co-teaching, which will increase our staffing at the district as well, where the kids are getting more support pushed into the classroom on an ongoing basis rather than the removal. But it's going to take another step. It's going to take a lot of training. We're not there yet, but we should be able to get there in the near future.
Plan. Plan with coordinated planning.
Exactly. It's going to take time. Yeah. So Ms. Mako, you're still down there. Ms. Mako is my intern, as you guys all know, and she was very helpful in creating these slides regarding our progress with iReady. So yes, we're struggling in some areas, but what are we doing about it? And this is evidence of what we're doing about it. So we're going to let Jessica explain this.
Okay. So we kind of piggybacked on some of the work that we did last year at our Literacy PLC, started the year with some professional development on iReady, kind of getting everybody on the same ground floor, refreshing some different things. We streamlined how we're recording data for students individually, creating a portfolio to kind of carry with them so that when we go to these IST meetings and things like that, we have the students' portfolio of benchmarking and all that testing there. We still have some work to do with it, but it's been a good implementation change for us as a group. We've also, before I start with this, we've also, through the PD that we received from Amanda in the fall, we also changed a little bit of how we actually administer the iReady testing and made sure that everybody is on the same floor for doing that as well. So as you can see, what we did was we compared growth at the middle of the year for both reading and math. This is K through 5. Based on the standard view, and you can kind of see the trends. And I think we've done a really good job. The students are definitely responding to the iReady K through 5. We've got 91% at the typical or stretch growth at the middle of the year mark right now. So that what that means is 91% of our students are showing growth and following that trajectory to get to the end of the year. And then in math, continuing forward, we're at 67%. So
A really good job on the growth, and kids are taking the assessment much more seriously, and they know that they're gonna have to repeat it and start over if they're not taking it seriously. So they're very serious about it.
So this is kind of just a snapshot of where we are, middle of the year, and I like this, the pyramid look, because you can kind of see our different tiers. You can see where we went from at the beginning of the year, tier 1 from 18% of students on grade level up to 40%. And what I really like is the bottom placement. That's kind of a 5-stage look, and you can see at the bottom in the fall, we had 8%, is that 8 or 5? 8% of our students who were mid or above grade level, and right now at the middle of the year, we're at 21%. That's K through 5. So that really kind of helps us guide some instruction, 54 to 44%, and then we took the at-risk group from 28% at the beginning of the year to 16%. So that's a good snapshot to kind of look at. And then you can kind of see some of the trending. We took a look at this last year after the implementation of our New Wonders program to see what effect that was having on our students. You can definitely dive deeper into the data, but if you take a look, we're making some good trends there. Down 1% for our tier 3 population at the mid-year mark for reading, and we are down a little bit for the tier 1, but again, we do need to note that we did make a pretty significant change in the administration of the iReady diagnostic starting in the fall, and we were kind of expecting a little bit further of a dip, but you know, I don't think 3% is all that bad, especially with the change and the increase in the above level reading results that we saw. So then when we take a look at math, again, you can kind of see where it says tier 1, 2, and 3 in the triangular graph up there. You can see where we were and where we are right now. Nationally, if you look at any of the research, math results since the pandemic seem to be down a little bit lower than reading, which is interesting. So you can see we went from, in the fall, 4% of our population K through 5 came in at mid or above grade level. We popped that up to 13% at the mid-year level. So when you look deeper into what that green area is made up of, I think that's a good trend there. And then again, on the other end, 8% of our red population there, or our at-risk, went down to 5, and the total of red, that's a bigger picture. We've nearly cut that in half there, from 18%, or from 38% down to 18. So, and then if you take a look at the next slide, that's just kind of our trends. Math is lower than the reading, but you can see our 27% at the tier 1 is higher than you know, the pre-pandemic percentages. Middle of the year data is a good thing to look at because in 2020, we had broken data. We did not finish testing students at the end of the year. So middle of the year is a good time to look. It can also help change the direction of where you need to be, you know, April, May in your instruction. So.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, Jess.
This is probably from Mrs. Russo, so I'll do my best. Yeah, but let's see, number of referrals as of this is 501. And the vape and the drug use is 18 to 16.
I'm gonna get later arrival of 18.
Yeah, I don't think it played nice when it switched over.
Yeah, so later arrival is 18, the respect is 81.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Left the building 16, disruption 70,
Gotcha.
harassment 11, fighting 29, skip class 50, insubordination 173, and skip detention 36.
So there's a code of conduct review committee. They're doing bullying presentations, like I said, DSS and meetings, parent phone calls and meetings. So we are working the problem as best as we can, but I know there's lots of improvement to do, so.
Let's see if I got that right, 106 students are responsible for 501.
Yeah,
But 10 of them have gone for whatever reason, 15 with 10 or more referrals. So you get what we call frequent flyers, and the same kids will do the same thing, but there's just that referral, and the intervention is just, they're not responding to them, so you keep increasing your discipline, and unfortunately, some are just not responding the way we would hope.
these are the PLCs that have been going on, yes?
Yeah, so every month, there's PLCs that meet, these 5 that meet specifically, and they focus on the areas of concern. So yes, we're focusing on discipline and building safety, but we're also focusing on engaging the students. If the kids engage, they don't have time to think about getting in trouble. Attendance has been an ongoing concern for some students. Character education, secondary wants to do the positivity project, which they want to kick off in September, so that group of people have been working on how to get that to kick off so that we can focus on positive character education. Yeah, social emotional learning is happening as well.
Volunteer grade level department meetings, departments focusing on vertical and horizontal alignment.
And they also discuss kids who are at risk, who they want for the intervention plan.
And this is basically another part of our seniors, 20 expected to graduate, 1 senior at risk, goes to our graduation rate. Good things, drama's back, March 10th. Sports are back, basketball, live streaming FHS, outing club, ski club, successful band and chorus concerts, holiday train we had. That was fun. Yep. Oh, here you go. I like your little, what is that over here?
My little Bitmoji, my hair's a little shorter there. Yeah, my hair's probably getting a little longer than that. I'm not gonna take too much of your time, but I think it's important that you guys have a really good understanding of where we are with our IT in the district. We'll start with the staffing. Your staff for information technology is all through our BOCES. So you're getting feedback on all of that staffing. And we're not very heavily staffed. We have a 0.6 microcomputer specialist that does your normal fixing of your printer, your computer doesn't work, your smartboard's not connected right. We have a network analyst that is 0.4 with the district. They do some of the networking, make sure our systems are up to date, make sure the backups are running, all of that kind of thing. And then we have a 0.1 chief technology officer, which is my service to you from BOCES. At 0.1, I spend a little more than 0.1 of my time here, but I really like you guys, so that's why I come here a little bit more than that. We're currently looking to hire a new MCS right now. We have an extra analyst coming to the district 1 day a week because because we're short MCSs right now at the BOCES. We're trying really hard to hire. But we've had about 600 help desk requests this year that have been met. Every one of them has been answered. We try very, very hard to answer any request that comes in within 24 hours. And our staff is very, very clear that the priority is if something's wrong in a classroom where instruction is happening, that takes priority over anything else. If there's teachers looking at students and their technology's not working, that's always the first priority. We're very, very clear on it. We try really hard to stick to that. And we do meet the request. So I think your staffing is appropriate. We're able to handle what's going on. So with our classroom technology, we do have some Wi-Fi upgrades in the district happening very soon. We have new access points ordered. Right now, your coverage in your elementary building is only so-so in certain areas. We're going to improve that a little bit. We're also going to be piloting a tool to allow teachers to effectively monitor what students are doing on their Chromebook at any given time, where a teacher will be able to say, oh, I want all of my students looking at this website right now with just a couple of clicks. And we'll have some training involved in that. We're piloting that this spring with, I assume, probably a full rollout for the fall of that kind of a tool. And we do have some very, very specific controls with that, where once the students leave that teacher's classroom, they're no longer under that teacher's restriction. So the new teacher can say, let's reset all of that for next period. Also, the teachers cannot go in and look at what a student is doing on their Chromebook after school hours. So if students are permitted to take them home at any time, teachers can't just go in and watch what kids are doing all day long. All of our interactive whiteboards are up to date. We've got Prometheans that were installed over the summer and right at the beginning of the school year, so you are fully up to date. We do have some staff development from model schools being provided on your staff development days to help teachers use those a little bit more effectively. And in terms of our Chromebooks and our teacher computers, our replacement cycle is pretty solid. In our budget, we know that a certain number of them need to be replaced every year. Your budget's very stable with that, so we're in good shape moving forward with that, and we have the staff to get them up and running when the new ones come in and keep a good inventory. The infrastructure, this is where it gets a little tricky, and I want to try and avoid any language that is a little too technical for anybody, but there's a federal program called E-rate that funds between 70 and 80% of a lot of our infrastructure, and that federal funding is designed to ensure that all schools have adequate access to the internet for all of their students. So within all of that, we're replacing those additional wireless access points are coming out of that, 70% of it is out of that funding. We were supposed to get new internal switches. Our current internal switching in our closets is end of life. We were supposed to get them last year. With all of the supply chain issues that we've had worldwide, this was E-rate money that was applied for in 21-22 school year. We were supposed to replace it this year. They don't make those switches anymore now. We had to requote the whole thing. So we'll get them for next year, but the switches that we have up and running are running fine. They're not expected to be a problem at all. And we do have spares at BOCES if something does happen. And our firewall is scheduled for replacement for next year. We have applied for the federal funding for that. I don't anticipate that being a problem. We usually get approval on that E-rate funding in September, October, and then we usually have until the following September or October to finish that project. So that's what the plan looks like. We are planning to replace all of those things. As far as the other internal systems, things do look pretty good from my perspective. I only came here in October, and one of the first things you do when you come into a new place is assess everything that you can. So from my perspective, your infrastructure does look pretty good. One of the things we found was very problematic when we first came in, the alarm panel was not working properly. And after digging into it a little bit, we realized it was connected to an old phone line that was shut off in August. So we got the alarm company to replace that, and not only does it now use our fiber connection to the internet to communicate that, there's also a cellular backup. So, and that came at a very minimal cost to us as a district. We are seeing problems with our PA system from the day I walked in October. It's typically the high school first floor. We lose the speakers in the hallway. We have to go in, manually reset everything for them to work again. We've tried fixing it. We've tried a lot of different things. The speakers are a problem. We've currently got an estimate on the table, a quote on the table to replace all of that. And I believe I've been working with Chris and with Chuck and with Greg to try and see if we can do that out of some of the ESSER funds, and we'll get that replaced as soon as we can. Again, with the way things are, when you order things, you're not really sure how long they're going to take to get. But I do anticipate the PA system being fully upgraded and district-wide by September and having everything back up and running properly. Our phones have been upgraded across the district. That was funded under E-rate also. Actually, it might not have been under E-rate, it might have been under different funding. But most of them were purchased under funding from last year, but they've all come in and been replaced at this point. We have all new phones in all of our classrooms throughout the district and our offices. Our internet filter is going to be replaced this summer. And that's also a piece of that same equipment that is piloting to allow us to manage our Chromebooks more effectively in the classroom. So those two things are connected in this new system, so we don't have to pay for multiple systems to do that. It won't be much different than our current filter though, and our internet filters do apply to any district device when it's taken off campus. They're still filtered. So that's required by Children's Internet Protection Act. We have to do that, and we do. The only system I'm a little nervous about right now are how we don't have backup power on our servers. There are backup power units. Their batteries expired 2 years ago. Last year, the district got some spare batteries from other districts that had upgraded their systems. They got some spare batteries. It sort of bought us another year. But right now, that system is very shaky. It can hold the system online long enough for us, if we know the power went out, to go in and cleanly shut things down. But that's about all the time we have, barely enough to do that. And when power goes out, just like unplugging your computer from the wall, it's not very good for your computer. When you do that to a giant network system, it can have a big impact. So we do want to try and address that, and I'm working with your business office to try and figure out where we can get some funding and how much that's really going to cost us to put together a good solution. I mean, we don't need to go overboard. We're not going to recommend a $120,000 generator for the school district at this time.
Good thing you're not gonna get it.
Because we're not going to get it, right? And it'd be a beautiful world if we could do that, but we can't do that. So we'll figure out a system that's going to work for us, for the district, both financially and in terms of providing the stability for the network that we need. And the last big one is the one that we hear about all the time, and that's data privacy and security issues. We're doing really well here. This, not just with this district, but I think regionally, we're doing pretty well. There have been, you haven't heard a lot about it, there have been some issues, even locally, in other schools with their data privacy and security. One school district within our BOCES was shut down for over a week, had no internet access for a week because of potential security issue. We do have next generation endpoint security on every device that is susceptible to that kind of attack in our district. What that means, we don't use Norton security like you might at home. We have a much more advanced virus protection on our computers. We're using a company called SentinelOne to provide that, and a systems operations center called Ponderance that monitors that. So all of the computers in the district, Mac, PC, all have this on it, and that system reports back to a centralized service where trained data security professionals monitor that 24/7 at a level that we don't have the expertise to in a small district like this. We can't afford to hire cybersecurity experts for our district to watch everything 24/7. But we contract that out to a company that does monitor that. So when a student tries to install a VPN on a computer in the library. Not only is that immediately seen by this system and shut down and quarantined, a security expert in South Carolina gets a notification and looks at that and says, let's make sure that that's not a virus that's propagating through other computers in the district. And they start to look at it, and they can shut it down very, very quickly. It's been a very, very effective system. Your district has had it in place for over a year now. It is doing very, very well. It's monitored very closely. So we do have a lot of confidence in that system. We do have some servers running old software though, and old software can be problematic for security purposes. Those 2012 servers will no longer get security updates after September. They do still get security updates right now. They will all be upgraded by the end of the school year. We have a plan in place. We're working with some of the network analysts at that are at other school districts but work through BOCES. We'll do that together so that we have lots of experts looking at it so we don't have any server issues when we do it. We do have pretty good backups. We back up twice a day. It says daily up there, but we do back up twice a day on our network, and we back up monthly. We take another backup and we unplug that from the network and store that somewhere else. So right now that somewhere else is just another location in the building because we only have one building. So we are looking at possible solutions to store it off-site somewhere, just for even more redundancy. It's that second level of backup though. You know, if very often an infection on a network, by the time you realize something's wrong, it's already in your backups for a few weeks already too, even up to 18 months. But we keep a year's worth of backups for the district. Our camera server had to be rebuilt. More storage will need to be added to. We had a couple of broken cameras fixed, replaced under warranty. Fortunately, they were still under warranty, so we got a couple of them replaced. And we got that server. We actually borrowed a server temporarily just to get things up and running, and we're waiting for the parts for the new one currently. The biggest piece of data privacy and security, the biggest step we can take to help us avoid phishing scams and intrusions into our network is multi-factor authentication. And you all do that with your bank. Right? Any of you go to sign up for your bank, it either sends you a text message or calls you on your phone or asks for an email where you get a code. We need to do that at the district level. We already do it at the server and network admin level. Anyone who has network administrative privileges on our servers, if you try and connect to our servers or VPN to the district, you have multi-factor already. We are going to be putting in place multi-factor for all of our teachers on all of their Google accounts. Some of them already do that. Administrators already do. Our school administrators already do. We're going to do that with all of our teachers as well. Insurance companies are trying to push us to do it with students, but districts are pushing back a lot. I don't know how we would do that with students. We don't.
Phones.
Even your third graders don't.
I know, that's the problem.
Yeah. So there are other methods of multi-factor that we can look at. We will probably explore them because the insurance companies are pushing us to as a district. I really have to say, you know, after only being here a few months, your team in the past has done a pretty good job of keeping things up to date. There were a few things that really needed to be addressed, but the current administration is doing a great job working with Chris very quickly to make sure that we're planning for all of those things that need to be replaced next year, so we don't have things sneak up on us that cost thousands of dollars to fix or replace because they're outdated. So we're working hard on it. I think we're doing pretty well. We're in great shape. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
No, it's really detailed and covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I tried to do it quickly without being too technical.
No,
A lot of stuff we're all aware of, so thank you, sir.
Thank you guys, I know that went a little longer, but I thought it was a little warranted.
I appreciate you putting that together. You know, 5 years ago, when the issues and goals, we had talked about pushing rock up the hill, and there were a lot lot of scores when we were looking back in the day saying, wow, those don't look that great, graduation rate didn't look that great. And then we started delving into the data, everything's unique, every kid's unique, every situation's unique. And we saw, all we wanted to do was just take it up a little bit. We didn't want to go from 60 to 100, we wanted to go to 60 to 65 to 70. And it looks by a lot of the things you guys are showing us that we're going in the right direction. It's really all we can ask. And there's a lot of great stuff up there. There's a lot of promise. Kids at 6th grade can bug on a lot of this stuff. And I know data is data and it's skewed by so many different factors, even with graduation rate, right? I mean, these kids are real, and it's taken them 5 or 6 years to get there. My son was one of them. And they're not hitting that, and that's just not fair. It skews the numbers. So you have to be able to look at them with realistic eyes. But the work that you guys are putting in here, reporting to us, and the presentations, and the work we hear, bringing kids back to the district, and putting this all together, I feel very fortunate where we are right now. I gotta tell you, I appreciate all of that. The work in this room is really great as well. The board's doing a good job. I think we're doing some really hard work in here. And you guys, it's paying off in the actual physical work you guys are doing. The faculty is kicking butt. I mean, it just, we're doing some great stuff in this district right now, and I appreciate you all, really.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, so, kind of lost our place, but I think we need to set an athletic committee meeting before we move any further. Yeah. I should remember that.
I put it on there.
That's impressive.
A little mark. So, March 1st is out, we know that. It isn't. You needed it by, what you said?
We have, well, we should probably try to have it before the next board meeting, because I think we should. Yes. Yeah.
So, folks on the athletic committee probably best to throw out some dates.
I'm open that week of March 6th.
Wednesday, the 8th? I have.
You were just mentioning it,
Yeah, that should be fine for Wednesday.
You want to do 6?
Yes, it would be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
5:30?
6.
I think,
6 o'clock, they're saying 6 o'clock.
6 on the 8th.
Yeah, it's better
6 on the 8th.
3/8 at 6 o'clock, all right. Moving right along. Treasurer's report is in the board packets. I know Erin's not here. Was there anything she wanted anyone to talk about other than the report?
Not that I'm aware of, I think you pretty much got the report. This is the area, yeah.
Just back up, Taylor, Christina, and John, athletic committee, anybody else? Is that it?
I'm on that too.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then we also
Really, it's okay.
typically would have like, Caitlin and Jeff as well, if they're available.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, they were there last time, weren't
Yeah.
they? That makes sense.
Joyce,
Yes.
everything for us other than the great report you guys
No,
did?
I think you guys got the whole picture of it, things are
Great
going
stuff.
great. I'm really happy how we're moving forward.
Thank you. Talk about the annex, great presentation by the Helping Kids folks. Coaches packet.
I think Aaron was gonna go over that, maybe you can,
Probably hold it up.
Yeah. yeah,
Okay,
so we push it.
And you could also review the athletic committee meeting.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's James. Yeah, next meeting.
And I know that she reached out and is setting up all the meetings with the coaches from, I would imagine, this season and in the fall, because I was.
Yeah, she has some scheduled next week, I can tell on the calendar.
Chris, just really, I'm very happy that she's got that, because I've been after this for like 3 years. So I know I've talked to you about it.
Yes.
So I'm happy
I
to
will
something.
bring it in.
I'm glad there's something in paper.
I just, some of it like this.
We're checking with our student board member, any questions we have up to this point? We doing okay?
Just here, keep her away. Her jokes will keep taking away.
On this day, okay, for each show.
So moving on to the consent agenda. So I need, unless anyone has any objections, I'd like to get a motion for A through F. Christina, Tim, any discussion? All in favor? Was I having a seizure or something happened?
Yes, yes. You're having one, it's still going
Action item, motion to approve the CSE CPSE recommendations as included in the board packets. Amanda and Christina, any discussion? All in favor? Need a motion, motion to approve the resolution to appoint Jessica Smacco as administrative intern effective January 30th, 2023.
I'll make that motion. Wholeheartedly.
Hello, James, any discussion? Thank you very much, Ms. Smacco, it's a big deal, I appreciate it, thank you.
It'll be
Joyce
fun,
is very happy too, so.
I'm so
yes.
happy I have extra.
Good.
So nice, so there.
All in favor? Motion to approve the resolution to appoint Stephen Neron as building maintenance mechanic effective February 13th, 2023, pursuant to the provisions of the employment agreement dated February 9th, 2023. Need a motion?
So we do have to amend that, just so you're aware, to March 1st, not February 13th.
So please record that as March 1st. Effective March 1st pursuant to the provisions of the employment agreement dated February 9th, 2023. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
But you needed something else?
I just want to, does Ella vote?
No.
Just, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to ask that question before I started recording stuff.
Christina? James? Any discussion?
Yeah, I got one question. Rich, on that contract, under duties and responsibilities, there's cleaning, maintenance, transportation services. Transportation services include working on the buses, taking care of the buses physically, does it also involve scheduling bus drivers and working?
No, well, let me clarify that, it's a good question. So we've also worked that into the FES contract and the FBAA contract because
Okay.
Joyce and Kathy right now are doing some of that. He is gonna be the ultimate backup and with what you just said, some of the mechanical side of it.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
But I wanted to make sure that if, you know, say Joyce left or Kathy said or somebody else or we couldn't pick those up, he would be doing that in that capacity after that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And a welcome back.
Welcome back, Steve.
It was nice to have you back. All in favor? Motion to approve the contract renewal for health services provided to children that reside in Fort Edward and attend Saratoga Springs City Schools.
Motion.
Bill? Tim? Any discussion? All in
Yeah.
favor?
No,
Sorry.
first line. This agreement made due on the 26th day of January 2023 by between the Fort Edward Union Free School District, Town, City of Fort Edward. First, Fort Edward's not a city, it's a village. In the town, the school is only incorporated for the village. So I don't know if we want to make that, granted, town, village don't be just the town too, but I think we want to make it just the village of Fort Edward. So if we're going to have a contract, make sure our wording's correct.
Okay. I can do that.
All right, with
So
that,
it's on two places.
that clarification, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Personnel, all appointments are subject to change, compensation proration pending emergency school closing and retired reductions in force. All coaching appointments are made pending completion and verification of all required coaching credentials and stipend for FETA contract. Commensurate with experience and no other salary or benefits. All coaching extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction in compensation proration pending final student enrollment numbers, pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closing. Need a motion to appoint Jim Eggleston as scoreboard operator effective January 9, 2023, at a rate of salary of $50 per event. Need a motion? Taylor and Christina? Taylor and Amanda? Sorry. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to appoint Amber Beeman as academic intervention services instructor, English Regents Review teacher, effective January 12, 2023, rate of salary of $37 per hour as per the FETA contract. Any motion? Christina? James? Any discussion? All in favor? Those to appoint Kylie Wested as YAC advisor effective February 13, 2023, at a rate to be negotiated. Second. And Amanda, any discussion?
Be negotiated when? Are we gonna have the number afterwards to approve?
I believe we have it already.
Oh, we have the number.
It's-
You do have it.
I do have it.
We do have, I think it's 8, it's nothing that
That doesn't sound right to me.
No.
I can't remember. It actually, yeah, 8 per season, so since it was only the one, so it's 800.
It was 800.
Yep.
And so to add to that is so it's, at a rate of $800. All in favor? Aye. Votes to accept the letter of resignation from Mitchell Supernaut, effective January 27, 2023. Oh, man. Amanda and Christina, any discussion?
Thank you so
46
much.
years.
Wow.
How many?
And
46.
46 years,
46.
and he said he enjoyed every minute of it.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and go for it. And go for it.
And go for it.
That's great. No, great person. Yeah, you would think, yeah, it's been 5 weeks.
Probably.
Great guy, great fellow. Really appreciate the service to the district. All in favor?
Aye.
Who was the second one?
Christina and Amanda. Motion to accept the letter of resignation with the intent to retire for Eric Becker, effective December 1st, 2023.
Motion.
Taylor and Christina? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to appoint Hillary Potter as chemical hygiene officer. Taylor? Christina? Any discussion? We had to appoint.
What is this?
So you know how you have, in science, you have special chemicals,
Yes.
things like that? So if anything were to happen, a spill or something like that, or a contamination, she would report that and help us clean it up.
Okay.
In whatever capacity it needed to be done.
Yes.
Schools are heated.
Well, thanks for that. Ms. Potter.
Thank you.
All in favor? All coaching appointments are made pending completion and verification of all required coaching credentials. The stipend for FMTA contract commensurate with experience and no other salary or benefits. All coaching extracurricular appointments are subject to reduction pending final student enrollment numbers, pending the outcome of any potential mergers and emergency school closings. Motion to appoint Nelson Chase as unified bowling coach effective February 13th at a rate to be negotiated.
85% of step 5, I think, I can't remember the exact number. But I don't know the number.
Okay, I need a motion for that. Taylor and Christina, you okay acting on this right now?
Yeah, I mean, no crazy.
Yeah, we're sure, so it's contractual, right, so yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any discussion? Thank you, Mr. Chase, for a fantastic bowling season. Yeah. Look forward to this as well. All in favor? Motion to appoint Catherine Briscoe as JV softball coach effective February 13th, 2023 at a rate of pay for the FMTA contract.
And I think the numbers aren't there just to note because we had, you got it.
Christina? Second. Tim? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion to appoint Charles Perkins as assistant varsity softball coach effective February 13th, 2023 at a rate of pay for the FMTA contract. Christina, Taylor, any discussion? Amanda? You know, you have to.
there were three of us that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
we all
gotcha.
at the time. Oh, okay. Oh, we're good, we're good.
No, I got the names right this time. Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with names. Is Charles here in his softball uniform? I just wanted to see if he's here. No. All in favor? Motion to appoint Jason Brayman as modified baseball coach effective February 13, 2023 at a rate of pay per the FBTA contract.
Motion.
Taylor and Amanda? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Good.
Can we just, kick back real quick, Tom, back to E for the letter of resignation from Eric Becker? It's awkward because it's the mid-year retirement, we get the notice now, but just to thank him for his years of service.
Thank you for your service, Mr. Becker, yeah. It's one of the things that I'm used to seeing.
It is, so,
Yeah.
because he'll still be with us and,
I'm sure we'll have a chance to.
yeah.
All right, any public comment? Okay. So, I need a motion to enter into executive session. Discuss negotiations. Taylor? Tim? Board of Education members and other individuals invited to executive session are reminded that all matters discussed during executive session must be kept in the strictest confidence. All in favor? Aye. I want to thank you, Ella, for doing a fantastic job. A long meeting, I get it. Any topics you want to bring up at the next meeting, we can put on the agenda for you, discussion, maybe hear from fellow students, or if you have questions you want to talk about, just let Dr. Denali know, we'll edit the agenda, or we can use you know as well. Okay?
Thanks, Ellen.
Chris, thank you very much, Chris. Well, I'm never gonna forget your name.
At least not too much, maybe.